Okay, we are live, as alien scientists would say. And now, good news is I've already shared everything, so no problem. I even shared the notice. So I want to say a big hello to everyone. I shared a link to the video and the notice. A big hello to Fletch. We got. Oh, he's already started on. I shared a link to the video and the notice. A big hello to me, Marley Pumpkin, who is of course watching avidly. Marley never misses a single thing I say. Hello, David. Splend Isolation. Hello, Investigates with Nick. Hello, Balloons. Right. That's your cover name, isn't it? Because really, your real name is UFOs, isn't it? Or is Balloons your surname? Or can I call you Mr. Balloons, or can I call you Weather? Hello, Body Technician. Hello, Bernie Tucker. Hello, me. All right. Hello, Welsh Dipper. Noswaith. Hello, Della Farrant. How you doing? Hello, Nihilist Lives Matter. I've just ate half a pack of chocolate hobnobs and now my tummy is. Oh, well, serve you right, mate. Serve you right. We are now already in a debate. Which is the best film, Alien or Aliens? Which is the best one? David Splendid Isolation. I think it's Alien. Yeah. Aliens is not bad. Hello, Hugo Rune. How's it going? Hello, King L. How'd you do? Martin Taylor. And yeah, so yeah, Nice Matter says, when Alien 3 came out, Cameron was crying they killed Hicks and Newt, destroyed his story arc. I thought, good, you read what you show. So, well, maybe they should. It would have been better possibly if Cameron had kept directing. I know that either that will bring back Ridley Scott, but now Alien, I've seen all of them. Alien, but there's only a couple I've seen more than once. I thought Alien Resurrection was damn good, though. It was horrible. I mean, was that David Cameron? It was one of the most frightening films I've ever seen. Hello, Stephen Truthseeker. Aliens, all right. We're sort of like split 50-50 at the moment. Which is the best one? Since we're talking aliens tonight, let's get this. Let's sort this out, shall we? Let's sort this out. If it's a choice between Alien and Aliens, definitely Alien. But Aliens is not bad. Are there any of them I didn't like? Alien Resurrection, was that Prometheus? I've never seen. Was that by Scott? All right. Who did Alien? I think it was David Cameron. David Cameron? Did I actually say David Cameron directed a film? Oh yes, this is directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, another bloody Scotsman. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was damn good. It's got like I thought that what's his name was really good. Ron Perlman was so good in that. Ron Perlman was damn good. He's good in everything. He has that guy. But apparently the production designer is he's this German guy, or was he a Swiss guy, who's he's infamous for producing the most horrible artwork. Yeah. This may be why. It could be why. What's the name of the art? The cinematography edited. What's the name of the guy who did the production designer? I'll try and find his name. Production. Yeah, because apparently he is he's infamous. I don't know. Anyway, someone from Switzerland. It could explain why that film was so damn scary and so horrible. Anyway, so are we sorted now? Hello, Martin Taylor. How do you do, Helen? All right. Are we sorted? It's Alien. All right. Well, right. Let's get on with it. Hello, Simon Tucker. How do you do? Welcome, Simon Tucker. Nice to see you, mate. Nice to see you. Alien 3 crap. Nice idea, but crap film. It weren't that bad. I mean, it had I thought the all British cast worked very well. Brian Glover, Pete Postlethwaite, I thought was quite good. No, I've never seen Prometheus. Apparently, it's got black goo in it. Black goo, black goo. All right, guys. So, hands up who remembers, or put a 1 in chat if you remember the Citizen hearing 10 years ago. You may have seen my. No, I did. I don't know if I made any Panlo TV videos at the time. I certainly did about 4. I did about 4 or 5 Panlo radio shows back then. Yeah, but if anyone saw it, will you let me know? Who saw it? Right, balloons, no. Nothing saw it? Yeah. I remember it very well. Yeah, I remember. It's amazing how fast time has flown. King L 33. mm. Welsh Ripper. Diane Abbott suspended. Oh my god, I'm gutted. I'm effing gutted. I said, oh, Welsh Ripper. Welsh Ripper. That is misplaced. I'll tell you. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go into that because I'll end up just jumping for joy. Is it Geiger? That's the guy. Is it Geiger? Yeah. Somebody Geiger. Creatures. Yeah, it's bloody. It was bloody horrible. These creatures are bloody horrible, wasn't it? I mean, it's really scary, that film. Really, really scary. Diane Abbott was an alien. Doesn't surprise me, you know. It came to him in a nightmare. I can well believe it, man. He's got a really horrible imagination. But I mean, you need someone like to do a good horror film. I mean, it's Giga. Sorry, David. It was Giga. Scared the bloody crap out of me, that film. I mean, but yeah, I remember. Go back to the Citizen hearing. I know I'm rambling like I always do on these live streams. I literally remember coming home from. I was basically like, because I'm lucky because of the time zone I'm in meant that it was over the course of a working week. But hello, lights below. How would you do? Um, because the job I had at the time, I was I was actually working like I still work similar hours actually, where I basically work all 7 days of the week, including weekends. But I tend to finish about 1. It works out a bit of an average full time hours, but so I could get home from work, get on the computer just when it was starting, basically watch it right until like watch it till like 8 or 9 in the evening. So, and I became pretty hooked on it. I actually became quite I always say I should go and get some of Steve Bassett's DVDs of it because he has actually produced a DVD. If you remember, he sent one to every member of the U.S. Congress. So that's 100 senators and however many is representatives. But he sent a copy to every single one of them. He basically posted it to them. In the same way, Richard D. Hall. Do you remember Richard D. Hall sent his Joe Cox DVD to the entire everyone in the House of Commons? That was and so it's worth doing because it may land on the desk of someone like who is worthwhile, and who knows, maybe he planted seeds. Maybe this is why we have people like Kirsten Gillibrand and Tim Burchett and Marco Rubio. Maybe he planted seeds. Welsh Ripper is mentioning, is that right? Welsh Ripper, is that the one with Craig Charles? Is there a new one out? I've not seen it. I'd like to. I'm gonna check. Gary and Kaz will on Facebook. I'm sure they've shared links to it. Stephen, I've got to go for a bit and listen to the second half of the football. All right, Stephen, no worries. Good. You are a Scouser. I can't never come between a Scouser and their football. Where's Balloons? Here we are. Balloons says only Congress can make UFOs and aliens boring. Well, they certainly. I must say, yeah, I was a bit disappointed with the hearing. If you remember, I mean, it was not quite what I hoped for. Brewdog in hand, spliff in ashtray. That's the perfect way to watch a Panlo TV, Hugo, isn't it? It really is. Yeah, it's a different one, I think. That was actually out last year, or maybe 2 years ago. It was a while ago. I'll check with Gary or Kaz on Facebook because they'll know. But I'd be curious to watch it. I mean, I was the first ufologist to break the story, if you remember rightly. Just on YouTube, right? Britain's biggest UFO conspiracy. What really happened? Oh, cool. Right. Thanks very much, Welsh Ripper. I was the first ufologist to break that story, actually, to the world. Literally, first, I was the first one to publish anything about it. My coverage of that is the first you can find anywhere online. Also, I was the first person to take the case internationally when I presented it in Copenhagen in 2019 at the UFO Denmark group. So, well, I'm not about to get jealous and egotistical. I mean, I don't care really if other people like accelerate ahead of me. I don't care. Let them. I just want to get the case out. Hello, we have here South Coast Tricky. Hello, how do you do? Loving your work, Ben. Thanks, Tricky. Can I call you Tricky? Although I'm a bit of a cynic, read the paranormal, unless alien big cats in the UK are included. I've seen 2 with 99% certainty. Yeah, Tricky. I'm certain they're real. If you ever watch the CFZ Centre for Fortean Zoology, Jonathan Downs has just produced a new episode, actually, so I'll have to check that out. Your research and knowledge are superb. Thanks, Tricky. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Thanks for tuning in. Clever chap thou art, Ben. I didn't want to be the first one to say it, Della. Thanks. So yeah, so basically, this the case is now much well better known. I mean, I was the first person, like I say, to publish it. I was also the first person to talk about it outside the UK. So let other people go ahead of me. I don't care. I'm not in a race here. Nihilist, do you think ETs like fish fingers? Well, you could try leaving a few out in the garden, or leave some out on your window ledge and see what happens. They may come down and take them, But be careful which ones you attract. You want to attract the nice ones, not the nasty ones. So maybe leave some string beans or something, because probably the nice ones are vegetarian. You see what I mean? Just a thought. So yeah, I was rushing home. I rushed home from work every day. I literally ran. Luckily, I live quite close to where I work. In front of the computer, watching the citizens' hearing. It's literally just started I got home like about 20 minutes after it started, and I downloaded all the videos, and I've lost them now. I've lost them. They were on my old computer on the old hard drive, which packed up because I didn't back them up. But you can get the full coverage, but really, it's actually what it was is it was a facsimile, a reproduction of the kind of congressional hearing that Steve and Grant Cameron and other people want, and it was basically they were the people behind it. And the people they brought in were not Congress people, but they were like former Congress people. They literally employed them for a week to do what they used to do before they retired. I remember them well. I mean, some of them are quite well known. Some of them have been there a long time. I mean, what's his name? The old guy. He was like a libertarian, and he'd been there in the 60s or something. But what's interesting is by the end of the session, all the Congress people were all convinced, which means that if there were ever a true congressional hearing, and Steve, ever since all through the last 10 years, Steve and Grant, lots of other people have been campaigning for a proper, literally the real thing of what we saw in reproduction in the National Press Club. And it's pretty clear if there ever was a proper hearing, probably the sitting Congress people would be equally convinced, because the evidence is just there, and they all admitted it at the end of the day. And I remember them well. There was Congressman Barnes and Congressman Kirkpatrick, no relation to Sean, Congresswoman Kirkpatrick, and a couple of other people. I mean, she was very woke, I think. I remember Congresswoman Kirkpatrick. She was annoying because she was so woke. Hey, Tricky. You saw Lynx and a Puma. Paul Sinclair of Big Cat Conversations and Paul Sinclair of Truth Proof. Yeah, I like Paul. Paul's a good guy. I know Paul. Thanks. Welsh, I will have to check this out if it's a new one. If it's any damn good, because a lot of the coverage, of course, the Craig Charles one was really, well, it could have been a lot better. It wasn't awful. It wasn't awful. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It could have been a lot better. Of course, it's only literally since 2017 that real steps have been taken for where Steve wants to lead this, and he still hasn't succeeded. And we haven't, all of us, because we're all in this together. And I know David Cameron said that phrase, and it was horrible, but in this case, we mean it. We are all in this together. It's only literally, I mean, we have had some hearings. We had, but these have all been like committee briefings rather than full hearings. Steve made the important point in that silly thing in the Senate the other day, that no one was sworn in. This was just basically Kirkpatrick talking to 3 senators, and it was just, how long did it last? 40 minutes. Could have been so much more. Could have been so much more. So anyway, we'll just go through some of the things Steve said in his own words. I was going to show you something first. All right. This is I just got to show you, obviously, the copyright disclaimer. I'm just going to show you something quickly, because I'm going to be showing some footage and some pictures and things. So we'll just do this quickly. There we are. The material from other content creators and other screenshots and stills are reproduced in accordance with the fair use guidelines of the Copyright Designs and Patents Act of 1988 and Section 17 of the USC 107 for the purposes of private study or research, for the purposes of criticism and review, free distribution, not for profit. So there. Glad we got that bit out of the way. Okay. Oh, King L is asking me something. Your Majesty, if you could ask ET one question, what would it be? Well, I'm tempted to be unoriginal and just repeat what Carl Sagan said. He said, "Well, how did you become what you are? How did you survive this technology you had, which also includes the ability to destroy yourself with weapons? How did you get through that without destroying yourself?" What would I want to ask them? I don't know. I'd ask them what they thought of hospital porters. I'd ask them that, I think. 69 Phuket. Hello, how do you do? All right, so Steve, in his own words, as well, Steve has already published. He actually sent this out. If you subscribe to his mailing list on the PRG group, on the PRG page, so all you have to do is put your email into a box, and you can subscribe to his newsletter. Citizen Hearing on Disclosure 10th anniversary. I'm not going to try and imitate Steve's voice. Citizen Hearing on Disclosure 10th anniversary. No, I'm not going to do that. Today marks the 10th anniversary of day one of the Citizen Hearing. That was on the 29th of April, a few days ago. Produced by the Paradigm Research Group. The CHD was a mock congressional hearing conducted in the main ballroom of the National Press Club, 2 blocks from the White House and 12 blocks from the U.S. Capitol. That's true. I mean, you couldn't get a more prestigious location. It's literally the largest room in that press club. Excuse me. So it's not been the only one, and since then they've had the nuclear weapons tampering hearing there too. Its primary goal was to demonstrate to the U.S. Congress what UAP ET hearings on the Capitol Hill would be like, to show their fear and concern was not warranted. During that week, 42 witnesses from 10 countries testified before 6 former members of Congress for 30 hours. The entire event was live cast in 4 languages. I know I was watching it. I was watching the live stream. It's completely free. You just go to the PRG website and you can just log on and you can just watch. The CHD was a preface to a second PRG project intended to draw the presidential campaign of Senator Hillary Clinton into the UAP issue. Moving swiftly on. The election initiative began with the delivery of DVD sets of the CHD to every Senate and congressional office. It succeeded, yeah. They all got one, yeah. Over the period of 22 months, 400 articles were published in mainstream media connecting Senator Clinton, President Clinton, and John Podesta to past UAP-related statements resulting in numerous on-camera media appearances. Excuse me. Specifically speak on the UAP issue. Yeah, John Podesta was particularly interesting. I know John Podesta. Yeah, they say he has friends who I think shouldn't be his friends. He shouldn't hang out with these kinds of people. I'm not going to I'm not going to mention names right now, but you should avoid certain people. But generally, he said that people have a right to know, we have a need to know, and things like that. These two PRG projects were prominently featured in a special 2-hour season 13 opening episode of Ancient Aliens, and you could view this episode at the following venues. All right, I've only watched one episode of Ancient Aliens, oddly enough. It's like people say, "What do you think of that, man?" Well, and I'm afraid I've not seen it. What do you mean you've not seen Ancient Aliens? It's just the sort of thing you'd like. Well, I've got to. I'm going to watch that Penta thing first. The last congressional hearing dealing with the extraterrestrial. This is on a different page now. This is actually on the PRG page. With the extraterrestrial issue was before the House Science and Astronautics Committee in July of 1968. Yeah. 49 years of silence from the US Congress. It's more than that now, isn't it? The citizen hearing on disclosure, he just describes what it was. He says was a mock congressional hearing held in April of May of 2013 to do what the Congress failed to do since 1968. Yeah, and that's the that resulted in the Condon Report in the following year, which led to Project Blue Book being shut down at the end of 1969. Seek out the facts surrounding the most important issue of this or any other time. Evidence pointing towards an extraterrestrial presence engaging the human race. 42 persons, including researchers and military agency political witnesses of rank and station, came to the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. to testify before 6 former members of the United States Congress. I remember there was all kinds of people there. All the witnesses, excuse me, people from, there was Antonio Hernandez from Argentina. It was people from all over the world. As I said, it was translated into foreign languages. Gary Hasseltine on this country, he testified. Peter Robbins, of course, this is before we fell out. Of course, there was the researchers. There was Steve himself. There's Grant Cameron. There was His Royal Greerness, Dr. Stephen Greer. I couldn't even list them all. I mean, there's so many. Linda Moulton Howe was there, I remember. The main ballroom of the National Press Club was configured to resemble a Senate hearing room. There were press areas, an audience area, witness tables, and committee tables. Protocols for congressional hearings were followed as closely as possible during the testimony. Committee members received written statements from witnesses, heard oral statements, and asked whatever questions they wished about the subject at hand. They didn't hesitate to say, "Okay, stop." They would stop. They would interrupt someone and ask them for clarification. They did that a lot. Hearing witnesses testified for 34 hours over 5 days, in 5 morning and 5 afternoon sessions, each composed of 2 panels of witnesses, each panel lasting approximately 90 minutes. When it was over, I really missed it. When it was over, I thought, what am I going to do now? I kind of missed it. In the evenings, additional lectures were given by a number of the hearing witnesses. The entire citizen hearing on disclosure was filmed, and this video record would be delivered to every member of Congress in November 2014. This marked the beginning of PRG's Election 2016 political initiative that would force presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, President Clinton, John Podesta, and President Obama to publicly address the extraterrestrial issue in a dozen times during the campaign. Now, it didn't quite work out that well, did it? I mean, obviously, according to Steve, it failed because Trump won. I obviously have a different view to Steve on that. At the same time, though, it had an effect. I think. I mean, maybe we'll talk about this when I'll come back to your comments about this, and we can discuss this in a minute because I have a few more things. I'm just doing a lead off now. I have a few more things to discuss, but it had an effect. It wasn't the one that Steve expected ideally, but it has had an effect. It has actually worked. Now I'm going to show you a couple of things here, right? How are you getting on? Anybody new joined? Let's have a look. Any new members who've signed up? I think that's everyone. Okay. Well, someone's saying something about me. What's this? Ben gets tired because he does so much in the week, probably without enough sleep. Well, I do try to get. I've always been a person who needs a lot of sleep. I used to do for 23 years. I did shift work, which has actually changed my sleep patterns permanently. To this day, for example, I'm biphasic, which means I sleep in the afternoon as well as the nights. Hmm. King Oz calls me Ben Escobar. What are you implying? I'm a drug smuggler or something? Hmm. David says, if they're not ETs from other planets, then that changes the entire dynamic. Not, I don't think so, David. It depends. It depends. I mean, as you know, I've just been reading this book I discussed with you. It's this idea that they're demonic figures or angelic figures. I think that's a big subject, but I don't think it fits with most of the cases. You're welcome, David. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you all for you. Thanks for what you do, Ben, which is tons. You're welcome, David. Hey, Gary Robinson, pride and dignity, brother. How are you, sir? How are you? Welcome. I'm glad you must be. What time is it where you are? It must be. You must have finished work by now. Yeah. Are you still at work? Anyway, by the way, the reason I do these live streams at 9 p.m. on weekdays is so my North American listeners like Gary, can tune in. 3:26 p.m. Right, you are. So it's not. That's right. My North American viewers can tune in. So it didn't have the effect that Steve wanted. In other words, not working. Oh, great. Right, you're going right. Just getting ready for a trip to Mexico City. Right, you are, mate. Good on you. That's a perfect time for your live streams, mate. Yeah, thanks, mate. Any later, it'll be too late for me, really, and too late for my British listeners. But it's the perfect time actually for the global audience. There's no absolutely perfect time for a completely global audience, but you've got to this is probably the best time if you're in the UK. Anyway, as I was saying, it hasn't. See, of course, it didn't. When Trump got elected, if you remember in 2016 when Trump got elected, it was I suppose it was quite amusing, and it must have actually annoyed people like Steve, because he and Grant Cameron went into, by their own admission, they went into a blue funk. I covered this at a time. I covered this on my UFO disclosure videos at the time. Whereas I was sort of like really happy. I actually considered that Trump's victory was part of the 2016 effect, which ties into Brexit, it ties into all kinds of things, which actually made UFO disclosure more likely. I know Steve doesn't like to use the term UFO. Well, he's not doing this video, so I'm going to use it. I'm just checking on something here. Right. Okay. Okay. So I'm just charging up my earphone players. There we go. So I'm going to use the term UFO, UAP. Hello, Popcorn Boxing. How do you do? Hi. David says, Valet and other researchers conclude these entities are more spiritual or paranormal supernatural rather than straight up ETs from developing planets like us. The John Keel's ultra-terrestrials, etc. Well, I think some of the evidence indicates that's the case. Now, I did read Father Spiridon Bailey's book. I have reviewed it for UFO Truth magazine, and I didn't find it very convincing, I must say. John Keel's books on the Mothman prophecies are more so. That being said, though, David, these are beings that can have a physical presence. In other words, they're not like ghosts, they're not like ghosts and things like that. They actually, so paranormal, supernatural, ghost type beings. These are creatures that leave footprints, for example. There's many cases of that. They do die, and they leave behind a corpse, like an animal would, like a human being, like a plant, like a living thing. They also, you can touch them. They can touch you. They leave marks on your body. So this is more than, I think, having a. I only need to have the priest on your show. I'll say more about that later, David. It's a big subject. All right, it's a big subject. Hugo Rune. North America, where's that? Sorry, I ignore North America. It doesn't exist. It's a conspiracy, as I think Jungle Surfer would say. It doesn't exist. It's a conspiracy. Now, the effect it had after Trump won, and I was pleased, and everyone else wasn't. Now, I mean, I didn't believe it. Didn't mean I thought there'd be instant disclosure, because of course I knew that the deep state would strike back, the keepers of the truth embargo. Steve calls them. I mean, I didn't know what form that backlash would take, but my goodness me, they backlash, especially. I mean, the following year, 2017, of course, the December 2017 was when the whole new ufology era kicked off, and basically the term UAP sort of became as popular as UFO. I mean, you always know a new ufologist from an old ufologist, because new ufologists say UAP, whereas old ufologists say UFO. By old and new, I don't mean it's nothing to do with age. It's to do with when you first become interested in ufology. You know, it's like people like, all right, this is interesting. Are you aware of Genesis 6? Yes, I am, where the fallen angels had physical offspring called the Nephilim. That's right. How's the quote go? They saw the daughters of men, saw that they were fair, took of them many wives, who gave them many heirs, who became the wise men of renown. This implies that there are human alien hybrids, and they formed basically the elite classes of that world, which became the elite political classes of this world, because there is a continuous bloodline. Yeah. Now, after 2017, of course, you see, I believe that I suppose a lot of people said this, and some of you are going to suggest this, I'm sure, that the citizen hearing was a waste of time. It achieved nothing because Hillary Clinton didn't get elected. There were no congressional hearings at that time, which Steve hoped for in the 2016 election. Therefore, the whole thing was a waste of time. No, it was not a waste of time. It had an effect. It had a different effect to what Steve expected, but it had an effect. It's quite possible that it planted seeds. It released historical forces that manifested a few years later in the 2016 effect and the 2017 effect as well. Although Steve doesn't believe in the 2016 effect. And of course, the backlash came, and we all know what that was, wasn't it? The thing you can't mention on YouTube. That's the little disease. This was it. Trevor from Third Round calls it cerveza sickness. Anyway, guys, we'll come on more. I want to go more onto the backlash in a little while. But of course, eventually this blew over, and it has started a process of hearings. We had the hearing. We had the House hearing last year with old Donkey and Conkerhead facing Gallagher and all those other Congress people. And then, of course, we've had the recent one with Gillibrand. Steve maintains his optimism in the face of that. And I mean, he may be right. I mean, I actually, as time has gone on, I believe Steve more and more. I believe that his vision is possible more and more and more. I'm now going to, let me just see if I've got the right. I'm going to show you a couple of clips now, Steve, that was a contemporary and which talk about this thing with the thing we're on about now. Okay, so let's have a look. Right. Oops.
I'm Stephen Bassett.
I don't know how much you can hear of this. I'll put it on full screen, and so you can see it properly. Let's turn the sound up a bit.
I'm Stephen Bassett, the Executive Director of the Paradigm Research Group, a political advocacy.
There we go. It could be you can hear it because I know that what I hear is different to what you hear.
I'm Stephen Bassett, the Executive Director of the Paradigm Research Group, a political advocacy organization, and the Executive Producer of the Citizen Hearing on Disclosure, which is taking place this week at the National Press Club. What we have done is brought in from 10 countries, 40 witnesses. Half are top researchers, half are military agency, political individuals who can speak directly to the events and evidence which, in our view, confirm the presence of extraterrestrials engaging the human race right now and going back to easily the late 1940s.
Earlier than that.
In order to grab the attention of the world, of the political media, and of the United States Congress, we are having these witnesses testify for 5 days and 30 hours to 6 former members of the United States Congress, distinguished members who between them have 80 years of service to the country and their constituents. They include Congressman Roscoe Bartlett, Congresswoman Carolyn Kilpatrick, Congresswoman Lynn Woolsey, Congresswoman Darlene Hooley, Congressman Merrill Cook, and Senator Mike Gravel.
Yeah, I remember these people. I got to. These people became kind of characters. I remember, as I talked about with Richard Wright, because I interviewed Richard Wright for Panmo Radio. I'm replaying that. By the way, I'm replaying that interview on tomorrow night's Panmo show. If you want to tune in for that, we started talking about these people like we knew them, because they become kind of characters within this amazing kind of culture we've become a part of.
As a result, we expect that there's going to be a desire on the part of the media particularly to compare this evidence and testimony with the White House's statement of November of 2011.
Right. This refers to the petition. Now, this was organised by Grant and Cameron in 2011. Because who did? I think I signed it. I think a lot of you watching this will have signed it back then. If you were interested back then. Basically saying we want to know all the stuff about UFOs and things like that. What work have you done on UFOs as a government? The reply they got back was, we've got no evidence we're being visited by any non-human intelligence, and the US government has no interest at all in this subject. Now, we know that was a lie. We found out in December 2017 that was a lie, because that's when the ORSAP ATIP news came out. And this resulted in this plan for this initiative that Steve is talking about here. And indeed, we'll come to the media coverage in a minute, because there was some good media coverage out there. Steve did raise, and other people involved in this raised a lot of publicity over this, and it was not all bad. And I'll come to that.
With a formal written statement made by the Office of Science and Technology Policy that there is no evidence whatsoever for any life outside the planet, or any engagement of human beings by non-human life, or any evidence or credible information that the government is hiding anything. I think that there are not too many reporters in the Washington right now that actually believe all three of those statements are true, if any of them are true. So we have a huge disconnect between formal government policy of the executive branch of the most powerful government in the world and the reality around us. And so we're trying to break this open. We're trying to end the truth embargo, that we call it, with a disclosure event, and that would be when the President of the United States comes before the American people and acknowledges the extraterrestrial presence.
Well, it doesn't have to be the president. It could be someone else. I mean, this at the moment, of course, let's face it, it's never going to be the president, is it?
So, just cutting right to the brass tacks.
Go for it.
So today, we are saying with certainty there is extraterrestrial existence, and
look, the evidence is overwhelming, and has been since even the 1950s. The phenomena that is being seen all over the world by millions of people for 6.5 decades is non-human intelligent beings, almost certainly from other star systems with biospheres like our own, engaging the human race. That's just the way it is. It's the reality. The Earth is round. The Earth goes around the sun, and there's extraterrestrial.
It is indisputable. I know there's Mick West and these skeptics and David Clark. Well, David Clark sort of softened a bit lately, but there's still skeptics who say things like this. Well, it's all weather balloons. It's all swamp gas. There are no aliens, and it's the stubbornness with which they maintain this position is incredible in some cases. I don't know what they'll do after the truth embargo. I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you read Roswell Rising, a novel of disclosure, my book, available at all good bookshops now, you'll know that in the story, the skeptics all kill themselves. I mean, obviously, I don't actually think skeptics would all kill themselves. There would not be some mass suicide of skeptics after disclosure. I put that in there kind of as a joke, a little sort of jibe at the skeptics. But it's I think a lot of them would retire. I mean, I've been through that before.
Engaging us. We need to get used to that. It's difficult, though, to engage this issue and to adjust to it when the government itself denies that it's happening. This is the problem. We need to solve this problem. And the way we do it is by putting sufficient pressure on the United States government so the president will finally announce the ET presence. This pressure is primarily going to come from the media, which I think once they realize that the biggest story in history is right before them, and they've been given this information for a long time.
But as we know from the media, and Steve must understand this, it is an uphill struggle when you're dealing with the mainstream media. the pressure is, I mean, some branches of the media are putting pressure on the government. I mean, some people within the media, but you know very well that the media essentially is the government, isn't it? It's a part of the government, like a song by Immortal Technique. The fourth branch of the government, aka the media. I think that's what's the reason. I mean, I think a lot of the pressure is coming from citizen media, like what I'm doing. I mean, we are the media now, as Maya Tusi says. You know, the legacy media, as more and more people are calling it, they're just sort of like talking to themselves, laying out government lines. You know, fewer and fewer people are watching the BBC, and now the viewing figures have plummeted on those things. But hardly anyone buys newspapers now. I don't see many people reading newspapers. And that's why every website, from the Daily Mail, Independent, it's all infested with ads. And you know, I was watching a video. I was watching a video that was uploaded 5 days ago, just before I started this show. It's the Y Files. I don't know if you know the Y Files. Really good channel. Talking about ancient aliens on Mars. It's had 1.4 million views in 5 days. That is now the alternative media is now competing viably with the mainstream media, and I think Steve realizes this. I think this is where I think the pressure inevitably is going to come from, when that many people are taking an interest, and especially in the post C word, you know, the disease C word disease world. It's been a wake up call for so many people. That is why we're getting these things like hearings and stuff like that now. It's taking a long time. We're getting there.
Are going to understand it's time to go into gate mode, investigation mode, and really ask tough questions of the right people. If
they aren't, it's kind of taken a long time, but we're getting there.
Media chooses to do that, the truth embargo, frankly, will not last the summer of 2013.
All right, and last question, Captain Edgar.
Well, it did, but it's lasted quite a few summers. It's lasted 10 summers after that. But I think Steve is right. And I'm seeing it more and more that almost he keeps predicting these things in a few months' time, because almost anything he does could yield these results. They could. Willing disclosure is possible. And I know a lot of you are going to disagree, and we'll come to that in a minute. By the way, if you're posting comments to me when I'm doing this lead off, you may have to repeat them when I've got a chance to look at the comments section. Okay.
So with the sixth man on the moon, Apollo 14,
Edgar Mitchell.
They've visited, they've engaged us, we are not alone. What kind of credo does that have a man who stepped foot on the moon? He left the planet.
The international spokesperson for the Citizen Hearing on Disclosure is Captain Edgar Mitchell, Dr. Mitchell, MIT, astronautics, and of course the man who walked on the moon on Apollo 14.
Look, we're not going to go into the moon landings on this particular program, but suffice to say, I believe Dr. Mitchell did go into space. I believe Dr. Mitchell I think he has a genuine interest in this UFO phenomenon, and I think he has done a lot of good. I know a lot of people criticize him, and maybe justly in some cases, for some of the things, but that doesn't mean we should ignore him or reject him or just turn against him. I think he did. He's gone now. He's passed away, but I think he did a lot of good. I think
mission. He has been saying since 1997 that the Roswell event was in fact an extraterrestrial crash.
I should point out Dr. Edgar Mitchell actually comes from Roswell. He was born there and grew up there.
Non-humans, bodies were recovered. He's also confirmed that we're being engaged. He has talked to people on the Hill. He's talked to people around him. When a man like that comes forward and makes a statement like that, there ought to be 1,000 television trucks out in front of his house. Because of the truth embargo, by and large, his statements have not been properly engaged. So once again, we put them before the American people and the American media. Edgar continues to stand up for the truth, and hopefully other members of NASA, maybe, and others will come forward and stand with him.
I hope so, yeah. Now, now let's go back to come on screen share for a minute. How are you guys getting on? Any new people arrived? Anyone I've got to say hello to? Good evening. Oh, now people are talking about the pylon thing now. I've done the pylon thing. Guys. I've done the pylon thing. We did that on a previous video, didn't we? Now, there's another one I want to show you. Maybe I'll find the video here somewhere. I don't know. I should have looked at this before. I probably can't, but I'm going to try and find it anyway. I'm just thinking of one more go to find it.
Florida lawmakers.
Okay, let's have a look. We'll go back a few years. No, I don't think we're going to go back. No, I don't think we're going to find it. Let's have a look. I'm just checking the MSNBC channel because I'm trying to find 2 months, 2 days. All right. No, I don't think we're going to find it. Well, I've got the audio anyway. There's no point me coming off share screen. So I've only got some audio here for you. David makes an important point. Roswell is quite a large town. The more solid craft that crashed was many miles away near a small town called Corona, but Roswell got the attention because of the Army Air Base. Yes, it's called the Roswell incident. And once names like this happen, they tend to stick. And because it was all. King L says, was Edgar the guy who kneed Bart Zabral? Yes, and said he was going to call the CIA and have him waxed. Yes. All right, Nihilist says yes. Why is the Wi-Fi's the one with that annoying CGI goldfish? Yes, Hecklefish. I quite like Hecklefish. I quite like that. I like the channel. Yes. So, it's because basically it was called the Roswell incident because most of the action took place in the city of Roswell. The Army Air Base was there, but of course there were several sites all across Lincoln County in western New Mexico where the event actually happened. I researched it in great detail because, as you know, I dramatize it in my book, Roswell Rising, a Novel of Disclosure. I basically fictionalized the entire thing. Nothing. Aztec, now, that is something. Aztec, New Mexico is something that happened a few months later, but that was very interesting as well. That was another crash retrieval that happened a few months later. Yeah. All right, guys. So now there has been some good media coverage of this. It's all, if you go to prg.org, it's all the entire media archive is there. Some of it has been negative. I'm going to play you a little audio by Rachel Mad Cow, as I call her, Rachel Maddow, who is really she's really obnoxious. I can't stand her. Here we go. But she has a slightly different take on it. I'm not going to share screen because you should be able to hear this. It's audio only. You should be able to hear it.
But it was back in the heady old days of only 5,000 signatures that the White House did have to respond.
Yes, that is her voice. It's just imagine. Is she married? Presumably because she's not lying under somebody's patio. I assume not. Because could you just imagine waking up every morning listening to that voice? What do you think of that, guys? Would you like to wake up every morning and listen to "Good morning, Rachel, my dear," and listen to this voice?
To this question, quote, "We, the undersigned, strongly urge the President of the United States to formally acknowledge an extraterrestrial presence engaging the human race."
You can always tell she's taking the mickey, can't you? You can always tell she's gonna take the piss. You can just her tone indicates that what she's going to say is going to be very negative.
And immediately release into the public domain all files from all agencies and military services relevant to this phenomenon. That petition got more than 12,000 signatures. And
one of them was mine.
Was the White House response from the Office of Science and Technology Policy. It's actually very considerate and good. Listen to this. The U.S. government has no evidence that any life exists outside our planet or that an extraterrestrial presence has contacted or engaged any member of the human race. In addition, there's no credible information to suggest that any evidence is being hidden from the public's eye. Many scientists and mathematicians have looked with a statistical mindset at the question of whether life likely exists beyond Earth and have come to the conclusion that the odds are pretty high. That's somewhere among the trillions and trillions of...
That's false. We know that's false. That was a response to the 2011 White House petition. It reached the target numbers, which meant it reached the target. If you get so many signatures, the White House has to release an official response. But, ladies and gents, since then they raised the bar, didn't they? If you remember, they actually went up from 20,000 to 60,000, I think, or even more.
Stars in the universe, there is a planet other than ours that is home to life.
Yeah, I mean, Look at the size of the trillions and trillions of stars, etc.
Many have also noted, however, that the odds of us making contact with any of them, especially any intelligent ones, are extremely small.
Well, it doesn't matter how small they are. If it's happened, it's happened. The odds of you winning the national lottery are very, very small indeed. However, if you win it, then it's happened. It's physically possible.
Given the distances involved. But that's...
Well, you see, distances involved. There may be ways and means of covering those distances. We know that intelligent life, such as humans, is very good at innovation. So, for example, the distances between the stars may be huge, but once we are set a challenge, we tend to do it. And things that are considered impossible by previous generations become possible. We once said there's no way anyone's ever going to fly. You can't actually fly in the air. Only birds can do that. Then someone builds an aeroplane. Someone said it's possible to put a rocket into space. It happened. Someone did it. There's noisy negatives, to quote the late great Stanton Friedman, whenever these sorts of things happen. Now, we know, as I explained in my SETI talk, the steps to conquer these great distances began even before Sputnik. I mean, there's a design from the British Interplanetary Society, which is quite infamous on this channel at the moment, dating back from 1950, for Project Daedalus. This is a spacecraft that could be built using existing technology and could reach the nearest star within a human lifetime. Now, if we're doing that, maybe others are as well.
It's all statistics and speculation. The fact is...
No, it's not. It's evidence.
We have no credible evidence of extraterrestrial presence here on Earth.
Yes, we do, Rachel Mad Cow.
Asked and answered, right?
No.
No, of course not. Since the White House will not give them the truth that they know is out there, the group behind that petition is now turning to another branch of government to uncover the real evidence. Sort of. They're sort of approaching Congress, but, well, they've decided to hold a fake congressional hearing.
It's not fake, it's a reproduction. It is a facsimile. Whoops.
A 5-day marathon hearing involving testimony from dozens of witnesses questioned by former members of Congress in a room at the National Press Club that has been configured to resemble a Senate hearing room. There will be press sections and an audience area and witness and committee tables, just like the real thing, except it's fake.
It's not fake. Fake is such a bad word. You said it twice now. It's not fake. It is a reproduction. It is as I've said, reproduction facsimile. I mean, you know what I mean. It's simply a reconstruction of what would happen at a real Senate hearing. It's the purposes of by reproducing it, it gives people an idea of what it might like. And as Steve said, it should hopefully encourage the sitting politicians to do something similar.
Calling it a citizen hearing on disclosure. And they've created like a movie trailer for it. Look.
I think it's time to open the books. Questions that have remained.
I'll be showing you this in a minute.
In the dark, question of
embargo.
I'm forward winding through this because I'm going to show you this video in a minute.
Of truth about
do it because we're about.
It's the X-Files. Release the X-Files.
Oh.
Embargo of truth about the alien presence. You're going down. So that's the fake hearing. Over
It's the third time she said fake.
5 days of testimony, dozens of witnesses will talk about strange things they say they have witnessed. They will give their testimony to a panel of members of Congress, former members of Congress.
Yeah, people who were elected to serve their constituents. They were rightfully elected. The only reason they're no longer Congress people is because they've retired. These are old, retired Congress people.
Including one former senator, Mike Gravel of Alaska, who once read the Pentagon Papers into the congressional record and did all sorts of interesting stuff in Washington, but who more recently is perhaps best remembered for his long, zen, otherwise inexplicable campaign ads when he briefly ran for president in 2008. But lest you assume that former Senator Mike Gravel and company are doing this fake hearing thing.
Fake? Stop saying fake. For goodness sake, woman, get a thesaurus at least.
Because they believe in aliens.
I know I'm saying that. These are words she spoke about 10 years ago.
Visiting Earth. The organizers of the fake UFOs.
Stop saying fake.
Hearing told Roll Call, quote, "I don't care what the ex-members actually think about extraterrestrial issues." The organizer said he only cares, quote, "that they served in Congress, that they know how it is done, that they are willing to run these hearings like an actual hearing."
Hello, DJ Three Clouds. Hello, how do you do? If someone new has just arrived, so I'm just going to fill you in. DJ, no, it's not recent. This is actually from 10 years ago. I'm playing you now. It's from 10 years ago. I'm going to play you some more. I'm going to play you a couple of other videos as well from different times. Okay, but welcome anyway. I've not seen you before. I think you're new.
In order to create a rather amazing and, I think, important event.
It was both. That's it. That's the end of that. Thank goodness for that. I'm actually going to delete that video. I'm going to delete that because I just hate it so much. There we go. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so there's this. I'll show you the trailer anyway. I'll show you the trailer that Mad Cow was talking about there.
The conclusion I've come to is incredibly wild, that those in charge have been successful in keeping secret the greatest story of mankind.
The evidence is overwhelming
Stan,
that Earth is being
Stan.
visited by intelligently controlled
I miss him.
extraterrestrial spacecraft.
The CIA guy standing next to me says, we're confiscating all this data, and you're all sworn to
John
secrecy.
Callan.
They've all been studying
Linda.
this. They have more data than I do.
So the government has dumped disinformation
Dave,
and misinformation into the field for decades. They've undermined research.
I have lost faith in representative government. I truly think we're in gridlock. It doesn't work, and so we need to make a change.
I think it's ignorant of any people not to seek out what we need to know to continue the universe.
You give this committee a lot of reasons for us to say, open those files.
You're walking up to it and you touch it. What do you do? Touch it, that? Do you grab it? Tell us about that.
Okay. I started doing the walk around.
Oh, that's Jim
360
Peniston, yeah.
Of the object. And as I came around, I seen there was an inscription on the front. And
this is what you saw, right?
That's what I saw. So I started walking around the craft, and I seen the glyphs.
Pope doing
as I, ran my hand from the fabric of the craft. It was smooth to touch.
You ran your hands along it?
Oh, yeah.
I believe that the time is now to lift the veil of secrecy.
Gary is a Gary.
Shrouded the subject for over 60 years, and the subject of UFOs should now be openly accepted in the mainstream media.
They exist. They are here to save us against the insanity of our leaders.
I agree with you. They should open those Roswell files.
There's only one way to regain
Oh,
trust.
blessed Paul Hellier.
Find and tell the truth.
If it's out there, if it's real, we have a right to know.
That's the window of the ISS, the final thing there. That's the window of the ISS. Now, it's interesting they finish with the window of the ISS. Whoops, what's that? Oh, it's what the hell is this? Related videos. I'll just shut that page now. Okay. It's interesting, actually, that they finished with a picture of the window of the ISS because sort of all the things that have been seen in space. Oh, you went to Rendlesham Forest. You went there, David. Yeah, it's really quite something, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. DJ Three Cloud says religion will be affected one way or another once we finally get the truth. DJ, inevitably, everything will be affected. Everything, everything. Although religion is very, very adaptable. I mean, for example, Islam won't be affected at all, I think, because Islam already has the concept of ETs in the form of the jinn. And the others, I mean, I think Christianity, if Christianity survived and adapted to the blow dealt by Darwin in the 19th century, if it can survive that, it can survive anything. So I don't believe, some people say that the church will fall. If we knew there was ET life, the church will fall. No, it won't. I've just written an article for UFO Truth magazine about that, about how it's about Christianity primarily and UFOs. There's actually, I managed to find some videos. I think David might have sent me one actually, of some people, basically some people talking, some Christians talking about the concept of extraterrestrial life. Excuse me. Now, I'm just going to show you another. Now we're not going to come back to Mad Cow. I've got another more. What's this? Hang on. No, I don't want that as a bookmark. I've got another. This is another contemporary. This is another contemporary news story with Steve. This is from The Lip TV, and it's about the citizen hearing. So we're going to just watch Steve again. Here we go. It's all very nostalgic, this, isn't it? It really, really is. Here we go.
So I got to ask first, give me a little background. What is the citizens hearing for disclosure?
It's an unprecedented event. It's never been done before. There have been conferences by the hundreds. There have been press conferences held at the National Press Club, many of them. I've done 6. I have colleagues that have done others. Significant witnesses have been brought in. They've given their testimony to the media, and the media writes up a few things and moves on, right? Which is not cool, because the presence of extraterrestrials, as far as I'm concerned, is pretty big news.
A little
right?
bit.
Fairly
Just
substantial
a little
story.
bit. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Just a little.
So what we needed was critical mass. In other words, critical mass is when you pile enough uranium bricks together and it starts having that reaction thing that goes on. Okay. We haven't quite got there. So what we did was we were fortunate enough to get a backer, a gentleman from Canada by the name of Tom Clearwater, who is a visionary and a philanthropist who wants the truth out on this, and he provided the funding to do something substantial. So what we're doing is...
So you know what I would do if I ever won the lottery? You know what I would do?
Bringing 40 witnesses, 40 of the hundreds that are out there, very strong group, very representative, and they're going to they're not just going to give a press conference for 2 hours. They're going to testify for 30 hours over 5 days, but not to anybody. They're going to testify to 8 former members of the U.S. Congress.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And these are very strong members. They're not lightweight. And between them, they have 80 years of tenure with the U.S.
Who are some of the Congress?
Well, we've got Congressman Roscoe Bartlett, who is a brilliant man and a scientist. He just left the House after 10 terms, 20 years. Lynn Woolsey just left the House after 20 years. All right. We've got the famous Mike Gravel, the senator. 2 terms.
Yeah.
Love this guy. And
He's
I'll
cool,
always,
Gravel,
he'll always
yeah.
be my hero, because he's the fellow that stood up for Daniel Ellsberg and sort of helped to scuttle the whole effort by the Nixon administration to prosecute him and go after the Washington Post. He stood up and read the Pentagon Papers.
Well, that's going back to the 60s. I mean, that's yeah. He's been around one, Gravel, yeah.
The committee report in the Senate, which they couldn't stop him.
Awesome.
Now that's the truth business. All right, he's in that. He's in there. We have Carolyn Kilpatrick of Detroit, 12 terms, and then 14 years rather, and then we have Darlene Hooley from Portland, and we have Mike Scott. I'm sorry, Cook from Utah, right? Merrill Cook. Also a scientific fellow, 2 terms. This is 6 former members. They're going to do the way hearings the way it's supposed to be done, which is not to use it as some partisan platform to give speeches about your thing, but to listen and ask questions of these witnesses and bring the information out, which normally would then go into to the various committees to be part of the decision-making process to pass legislation. Now, obviously, we're not going to do that.
Right.
PRG will put out a report eventually. Their job ends on Friday, May 3rd. But this thing is so large. There's so much going on, so much material, so much evidence. Former members of Congress. And then we're webcasting it worldwide.
Fantastic.
And there's an international movement going on. I can assure you I have many colleagues. If you go on the internet, if you were to go on the internet and Google the term exopolitics, which refers to it is a term specifically referring to the political social
nostalgia,
issues,
nostalgia,
not the scientific engagement, not
Everyone
ufology.
at home right now is all Googling exopolitics.
Google exopolitics.
Yeah.
It has no other use in the English language. That's it. I think you get 2 million pages. And that's all happened in 10 years. So that is saying something is going on here, right? The political engagement of this issue is what is going to resolve it. It's not about science. You could pile science on the White House lawn above the flag, and they're going to go,
Exopolitics is also a song by Muse. It's on their what's it called? The Black Holes and something album. It's a great song.
It's not about science. It's about a policy of formal denial and embargo instituted for national security reasons that they can't end. And I can go into great depth of why that is. We don't have the time, maybe another time. So we're trying to end the political policy. That is what the truth embargo is, and that is what the citizen hearing is trying to do. And so by broadcasting it worldwide, $3.80, I should imagine, for the whole week, by bringing in former members
No,
of
it didn't cost anything. It was free, I think.
Congress, by spending $600,000, by renting the press club for an entire week, we're sending a message to the media and the Congress, we're kind of serious about this. And if you go look at the polls, half the public believes it's true, and 85% of the public polls that the government's lying about it. Theoretically, that's ratings gold.
Yeah.
Are you selling enough papers right now?
That's doesn't quite make sense, simply because if most people think the government's lying about it, and then more people think the government's lying about it and think it's true. Maybe he means 85% of the people who think it's true, because otherwise there'd be more people who believe the government are lying about it than believe it's true. It's impossible.
You should cover this. How's your rating on MSNBC? Getting up to 1 million people yet? Would you like 10 million? And I'm hoping eventually they'll realize, hey, why are we not just literally throwing ourselves at this?
This is why.
Hopefully they will.
By the way, this is why the citizen media is now becoming as popular as mainstream. I mean, it's only a matter of time before we overtake them. I mean, it's already happening. Look, what do you think is going to happen when Tucker Carlson goes on to Rumble exclusive? I mean, it's very obvious the mainstream media is political. They've just dropped their biggest earning employee. And because obviously someone very powerful must have told them to, and they actually, someone whose word they prioritize above making a profit, which is, you'd think, would be impossible. But they've got rid of Tucker Carlson, a guy who's spoken openly about UFOs, as well as a lot of other populist dodgy subjects. And the same time and what's happened is Fox's shares plummeted like 6 points overnight, and they've not recovered. Whereas Rumble's went up 6%, about I think there's 1 point something points, the very same moment, because they know Tucker has this channel on Rumble, and all those 3 million viewers he has on Fox, or hopefully a lot of them, are going to move over to Rumble. Now, a lot of people say, oh, they'll just stop watching. It's not going to be on the mainstream. They won't watch. Nah, come off it. 3 million people they're going to wonder where this guy they liked so much went. This could open a floodgate of viewers from the mainstream into alt tech. So yeah, this is, and of course it's all connected, because Tucker talks about UFOs. He's open about the idea of UFOs.
I'm telling you, the truth embargo is over, and you will learn this summer that we're not alone in this universe, that we're being engaged right now, and we will then be in the post-disclosure world, and you will have.
Again, of course, that didn't happen. All right, I mean, but forces were obviously set in motion. As I said, a ball started rolling at that moment. So people who said that the truth, a lot of people who may think the citizen hearing was in vain are wrong. It did have an effect, not the effect that Steve hoped for, or initially hoped for, or expected, but it did have an effect.
Lots of really good material for Buzzsaw from that point on. I guarantee it, you'll never lack for great material.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, that's more like it, isn't it, ladies and gents? That's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. Now, what I need to do is I need to go through. What's it? That's that. Finished that one. I need to go through the comments, of course, on the notice. Where am I now? Right. Hope everyone's all right. I'm just going to check the comments box quickly. Any new people? What's this? Oh, this is DJ Three Clouds again. Did you hear about that? Logan Paul supposedly has the best UFO footage. If you type into YouTube Joe Rogan's James Fox, you'll hear that story. So, DJ, I want to come on to that. Yeah, remind me, because that's a big topic I want to go into. but because there is an amazing story behind that, and it's something that Fox said a lot earlier. But I need to get these comments done before I forget, because I sometimes forget the damn notice comments. So here we go. Where is it? YouTube Studio. Okay, so there's nothing in the spam folder. I was just checking that. So let's go to the right. So we have there's not many. There's only a few. There's Marley Pumpkin. More fantasies about UFOs and aliens. How utterly boring. All right, Marley, I know you're watching. So Marley's just sitting now. Marley's like this, watching intently. God, I'm so bored. I'm so incredibly bored. Oh my God, I'm so bored. I'm so bored. Let's see. And he'll be doing that. He'll still be there at the end. And Keith Smith says someone has to do it. And I put a text, Marley, good to know you'll be watching the whole video avidly from beginning to end. I said those are the only comments that were on the. Those are the only comments that were on the. So now, yeah, this is important. This is an interesting point. I want to come back to what DJ Three Clouds says. What happened was it was actually a few months ago. I think it was when he was doing his interviews for Phenomena. I think it was on Joe Rogan as well. He mentioned that he was at a camper van and someone had a tape. Someone had a videotape, like I think it was like an old VHS of some footage. Some footage that had been taken. This person had taken him in a car and had basically had a close encounter with a UFO. Had filmed it, had the wherewithal to film it. Someone in the car had filmed it. And it was very, very good, very, very clear, extremely clear footage. Now, as James said, this is the best UFO footage he'd ever seen. Now, the tape, I can't remember exactly what happened, but the tape, James says that the tape was in the camper van, and he managed to give it to somebody. And it's in that person's hands, and they're not going. They're going to publish it later. They're not going to publish it now. And he wouldn't name that person, but very obviously he was. I think he was talking about Logan Paul. I mean, I think he's talking about the same scenario. He hasn't actually said anything. He hasn't actually confirmed that this is the same person he was talking about like 2 or 3 years ago when Phenomenon came out. He hasn't confirmed that, but I think it's the same one. And he says he is going to publish it. I mean. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. We have here less than average. Hello, how are you, less than average? So, where are we now? There's some more. Taft Derek Baker. I asked NASA for a job. They told me there's no space. Ba-boomed. All right, so, yeah, the Stephen Truth Seeker says here. Do you believe there are aliens that look like human? I must admit, I've seen some strange folk over the years. Right, Stephen's not addressing me, but I could say from my own point of view, yeah, there are. Now, there is another video I want to show you. It's another news story. It's actually from sometime in the 1990s, and you'll see a few people you recognize in this video, but they'll look a lot younger. Now, I think this video I'm about to show you illustrates an important point, which is that really news coverage of UFOs was sometimes quite good. It was sometimes quite good until probably about 2000. Then it absolutely went downhill. It was after 2000 you start getting these ridiculous pseudo-comedic hit pieces. The ones that they've asked me to be on, and I've said, no, get stuffed, not a chance. The ones that Miles says, oh, no, I'll go on it, I can handle it. And, of course, they make him look like a bloody clown, don't they? Now, they're literally from 2000 to 2017, there was I can't see any real exception to that. So let's have, but then this just gives you a clue. I mean, since 2017, things have improved somewhat. They have. But this is a pre-2000s news report here about the famous I forgot the name of the incident. Basically, it's the one where Bob Jacobs was filming it, and well, it's reproduced in UFOs and nukes. First of all, DJ Cloud, just deal with this now. No, James Fox says Logan Paul tried to buy the footage with $100,000, but the guy wouldn't sell it. So Logan said, "You can at least show it to me," and he secretly. Right, oh, I see. Right. So, but then in my view, DJ, the person who wouldn't sell it was probably that was the person that Fox was talking about. So does that mean he's now going to show it? I hope so. I hope so. Okay, so here we go.
The United States government will neither confirm nor deny the existence of UFOs. But unofficially, a stream of retired military personnel are now coming forward with critical information about unidentified craft they encountered in the...
Does this actually have a date on it? No, it doesn't. No. Okay. But it's clearly from the 90s. You can tell by the style. It's a 1990 something.
Line of duty. Among them, Robert Jacobs, a former Air Force cameraman, who believes that there is film out there somewhere that proves that the...
No disrespect to Bob, but you can tell by the way he looks much younger in this too.
Government knows more than they are willing to tell.
Just come out of the most destructive war on the face of the planet. World War II, 50 million dead.
Robert Hastings. That's the guy who wrote UFOs and Nukes, the book. And I've not read the book, but I've seen the documentary. It's an hour-long documentary, which is well worth seeing. Of course, there was a hearing as well at the National Press Club about 2 years ago about this issue.
Just barely gotten beyond that, and suddenly, according to documents, there were mysterious objects maneuvering in American airspace.
UFO researcher and lecturer Robert Hastings has spent 22 years studying the United States' interest in and reaction to reports of UFOs. Hastings has concluded that not only is the government fooling the American public, they've been fooling themselves.
I think it's not a coincidence that the phenomenon has accelerated its activity precisely at a time in human history when we've acquired nuclear weapons.
This is incredible. I mean, I've got to pause for a moment and just make this point. We literally had to wait until after 2017 with an entire generation saw nothing at all but pathetic, deceptive drivel about UFOs until after 2017. And you literally go back before that generation for anything decent on TV.
Interviewed 21 former and retired Air Force personnel associated with nuclear missile squadrons who have referred to incidents involving the presence of flying saucers.
That theory is based in part on the personal experiences of Robert Jacobs, a former Air Force lieutenant. In 1964, Lieutenant Jacobs claims he sat in a room...
He spoke at the UFO Truth magazine conference. I met him. He's a good guy. I spoke to him online as well.
...at Vandenberg Air Force Base and saw a UFO that haunts him to this day.
Hair's going up on the back of my neck right now thinking about it. Just remembering that day. I saw something that was so strange that it changed my life. It changed the way I believe about the universe and my place in it and our place in it.
In 1964, Lieutenant Robert Jacobs was stationed at Vandenberg Air Force Base, California. He was in charge of a special photographic unit filming test flights of Atlas F and Minuteman missiles, both nuclear weapon delivery systems.
Well, you launch a piece of equipment that costs $4 or $5 million just for the piece of equipment, and it blows up 300 yards out of the hole. We want to know, first of all, why did it blow up? So my job was to provide photographic documentation from 30 or 40 different camera positions for each launch.
In November of 1964, Jacobs was assigned to film a Vandenberg missile launch using a brand new state-of-the-art telescope developed at Boston University. It was the most powerful lens the Air Force had ever used.
The biggest lens we had on our M45s was 180 inches. This telescope had an effective focal length of 1,200 inches, so you can see that it's enormously bigger. It was so big, in fact, that when the missile left Vandenberg with the Boston University telescope in one single frame, just the bottom 3 engines on an Atlas F filled the frame. That was from a distance of about 130 nautical miles.
In a top-secret mission, the telescope was flown in from Boston aboard a Hercules aircraft. This is actual footage shot by Jacobs' unit and only recently rediscovered in his archive. The telescope was so large, it had to be hauled to its site in an 18-wheel big rig. Jacobs' crew assisted the telescope's inventor, Walter Manning, with the installation of the lens. The camera was perched on a bluff in Big Sur, 130 miles from the launch site.
We walked onto the missile and we saw all 3 stages of powered flight. Through our binoculars, we could see that happen.
It was a test of a top-secret anti-missile missile, one designed to confuse enemy missiles and then go on to hit its target. The camera was programmed to follow the missile automatically and run for 6 minutes, long past the point where the missile was visible.
Now, what we didn't know is what else we had got besides the missile.
After the film was developed, project director Major Florenz Mansman called Jacobs into his office, and Major Mansman was not alone.
There were 2 guys in gray suits in there, civilian clothes. They were not in the Air Force. They were from somewhere else. They never identified themselves. They could have been CIA, OSI, OSS.
Jacobs was asked to watch his test film in the presence of these mysterious officials.
The nose cone spread out. The warhead was quite plainly visible. Something flew into the frame. What I saw was a circular object. It was a classic flying saucer. And it shot a beam of something at our warhead. You have to imagine this thing is flying along at several thousand miles an hour. This stuff is flying along, and something comes into the frame and chasing it, and comes in like this and fires at it, and goes around like this and fires at it, and goes around like this and fires at it, and fires at it like this, and then goes back out that way. What the hell could do that?
That was exactly what Major Mansman wanted to know.
And he said, "What was that?" And I said, "It looks to me like we got a UFO." And he said, "You are never to say that again. As far as you're concerned, Lieutenant Jacobs, this never happened." And I was sworn to silence, reminded of the severity of a security breach, and told to leave the room. 18 years went by with that image in my mind.
After 18 years of silence, Jacobs felt compelled to go public. When he did, the official Air Force response was astonishing.
The Air Force denied that I was ever there. There was no Lieutenant Robert M. Jacobs in the Air Force at that time. I was never...
You're obviously hoping the skeptics will jump on him and call him a fantasist like they have Bob Lazar.
Vandenberg Air Force Base. If I was at Vandenberg Air Force Base, I was never in charge of the photo-optical instrumentation section at the 1369th Photographic Squadron, right here at this base. They denied then that there was a tracking site at Big Sur. They denied that there was a telescope called the BU telescope. They denied that there was a Dr. Walter Manning. They denied everything.
However, Sightings has obtained documents that prove he was in the Air Force in 1964 and that he was in charge of the photo-optical instrumentation site at Big Sur. In a letter to Sightings, Florenz Mansman, Lieutenant Jacobs' direct superior and the man present when the infamous UFO footage was screened, says, quote, "I am writing to confirm Dr. Jacobs' account as he had described it."
It's good that Major Mansman ended up backing him up. That was good.
By far, the most compelling evidence is this film, which proves the existence of an event the Air Force continues to deny.
The Air Force is probably not going to like this film, but there's nothing they can do about it. It exists. It documents the telescope, the people who were there, including me.
Well, there's Dr. Jacobs there in 1964. That's him there, yeah.
There, including me. And if there are any ramifications about it, I guess I just don't care anymore.
Good old Dr. Jacobs.
Recent disclosures from the former Soviet Union indicate that UFO overflights of military bases and nuclear facilities have not been limited to the United States.
Definitely not.
During the 1970s and 80s, several UFOs were sighted at government installations in Russia and Siberia.
Oh, that's a story for another time. See, that was good quality stuff. That just goes to show you that there is like there is this kind of there is a reality behind this, which is officially acknowledged on one level and then denied on another. Yeah, he bloody has, hasn't he, Dave? Yeah, Derek. Yes, he bloody has. DJ Cloud, you know what's crazy? The Samsung S22 can zoom in on the moon craters. Yeah, you mentioned glowing dots. Oh, there's all kinds of strange things on the moon. Yeah, a lot of people who watch the moon have discovered things. Yeah, they've discovered some strange things. And you would think Dr. Greer would have some compelling proof by now with all his CE5 sessions events he's done. Well, he claims he does, but I mean, the problem is we've got to take his word for it, because if you go on one of these sessions, you've got to sign an exclusivity contract and non-disclosure agreement, and anything you film is copyright to him, even if it's on your own devices. Yeah, and it's not cheap. It's not cheap to do that. Yes. So I think that's it. Let's go and check my notes. I think that's the end of my lead off. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think it is. Just double check here. Yeah, so, ladies and gentlemen, what would you like to add now? So I'll go through left to our own devices. Not if you're Greer, not no. Greer, like he's cornered the market on everything. You can't. You cannot don't expect any kind of independent ability to publish anything independently when you're with him. What would a post-disclosure world look like? Oh, well, my goodness me, that's a big question, Diego Rivera. The purpose of me writing the Roswell trilogy, especially like the second, well, you can only see the second one on there, but there's a third one now, is so that I could imagine that. So I could, basically, it's about the things I talk about on this channel, but what if we got the truth instead of the lies? That's the purpose of the whole thing. Yeah. You should watch the Joe Rogan video before you go. Oh, right. DJ, is this the one with... All right. So this is Joe Rogan, James Fox. Right. You got a link, DJ? Could you what its title is? Okay. Do you think Greer is feeling left out with this relatively latest official push for disclosure? Yeah, disclosure. Yes, I think this is the real reason Greer has turned against Elizondo. You know that, of course, Lou Elizondo and Greer now they've fallen out, and in fact, Greer has even had to go at Danny Sheehan. I don't know if he's actually fallen out with Danny Sheehan, but when he found out that Sheehan was going to act for Elizondo, Greer basically issued some rather veiled threats at Sheehan. Danny Sheehan has been Greer's lawyer for over 30 years, but then when he decides to act for Elizondo, Greer starts having a go at him because Greer, it all comes out in the latest documentary which I've watched, where he basically goes on about disinformation, things like that. He accuses. He also does it in a Cosmic Hoax, which is his previous video, his previous documentary. Lou Elizondo's a shill. Leslie Kane, Ralph Blumenthal. He accuses all these people of being shills, and he says Elizondo is like this, that, and the other. Chris Mellon. They're all basically shills. And you know what bothers him, of course, is that he can't stand it that disclosure is not all about it. He wants disclosure to be all about him. It's all got to be about him. And we know he's got a massive ego problem. It's obvious long before I knew that he would take this line. I knew that he would take this line because that's his personality. So it's pretty predictable. So that's the reason I think he's got this problem with Greer. Diego Rivera, would we have artificial migration from other planets? It's alien migration, but it's kind of alien nation kind of thing. No room at the inn for. Well, I'm sure they could find some hotels to put them in. Stephen, everyone falls out in the alternative knowledge movement. It seems to happen a lot, doesn't it, Stephen? I mean, funny enough, a friend of mine was actually writing something about this on a Facebook group just recently, and he gave a very good summary of it. Well, everyone has their own people have their own ideas, and you get like this conflict because people have different ideas. And basically, the ego takes over. Like with Greer, it's obviously he's got a massive ego problem. Once the ego takes over, that's it. Greer is too new age to be taken as mainstream serious these days, I guess. Oh, Greer is taken seriously by himself, and he's got these band of loyal supporters. To be honest, they're very, very cultic. You know, they're very. I'm really surprised at how cult-like he appears to be. I mean, Philip Mantle called him a cult leader, and I thought that was unfair when I first read that. But he is. He has his own like disclosure movement. Is the only disclosure movement. Everyone else's is fake, and that annoys me. As I was just saying earlier, you know, we mustn't do this. I mean, for example, if you achieve something, be proud of it. But once you start seeking fame and fortune, that's it. I mean, I'm not resentful, like I said earlier, that the Pentuck incident is kind of run ahead of me now, and other people have taken it over. I don't care about that. No. Is alien disclosure a Pandora's box? Says Israel Diego. Yes, I think it is a risk. There is a risk associated with it. It's going to have consequences probably we can't predict. It's going to have consequences that it won't all be good. It won't all be sweetness and light in the post-disclosure world. I think we're going to go through a very turbulent transitional period. Again, that's what this book is about, and the two sequels. We're going to go through a turbulent transitional period, I think, but it has to happen. We have to go through this process. We have to pass through the eye of this needle if we're going to advance. Because if we don't, we're going to stagnate, and it's going to be kind of it doesn't bear thinking about. We will flounder. Hello, Spanish Chicken. That's a good name. Jason from Raquanta's News has his funeral today. Oh dear. I couldn't. Yeah, I did a little tribute for Jason on Pan My Voice. It's so sad. Literally just a month ago, I was on his show. Oh, Rhiannon. Hello, how are you? Hello, Rhiannon. Nice to see you. Do you have a link for your book? Oh, well, I can't get one right now, DJ, but if you just Roswell Rising, a novel of disclosure, there's my name, Ben Emlyn Jones. Go to Amazon, it's there. If you like this program, you'll like this book. You will love this book, I think. Yeah, you will. So how you doing? It's good to see you. Nice you're here, Rhiannon. Nice to see you. We've got 40 people watching, which is nice. So as far as the Pandora's box, I think there are people who literally are, as we know, that the deep state, and even people in the sub-deep state era, people in government who purely for selfish political reasons and for very practical reasons don't want change. They're scared of change. This is one thing I've noticed about the officialdom. They do not like change. They want things to be the same. They want to maintain mediocre normality. They want to maintain mediocre normality because anything changed for them is bad. Whereas it's more like Robert Anton Wilson talked about the difference between the neophile and the neophobe. People like us are neophiles. I personally like change. I welcome it. I think, generally speaking, we need as much change as possible for things to get better. The neophobe wants things to be the same. The Ramonas after the Brexit referendum are neophobes. The reason they turned against the Brexiteers and they tried to reverse the referendum is simple fear. They are terrified of what could happen when Britain leaves the European Union. They're terrified of this country becoming independent. Just like every country that gains its independence, including the United States, there are naysayers that shout portents at doom from street corners. And the Romonas are like that. And indeed, there are the people behind the truth embargo. Some of them are simply like that. They simply say, well, they're not malicious. They don't want to cover up free energy and all those sorts of things. They just are terrified of what would happen if we had disclosure, if acknowledged officially that we are not alone and we're being interacted by non-human intelligence. They're terrified of that possibility, of that prospect, because of the effects it would have. I mean, the 1960 Brookings Institute report is basically says that. It says that. I've got it here somewhere. I've got a copy of the famous quote. What was it? But, I mean, I don't. Here it is. Now I don't. If I can't find something, I can't find it. But you know, it's I've read this out before. All right, here we go. Right. I don't need to, this. I'll just show you it briefly. Here you go. This is the actual page. I'm going to read it out to you. Though. You don't need to. Oops. You don't actually need to see that. I'll read it out to you. The implications of a discovery of extraterrestrial life. Recent publicity given to efforts to detect extraterrestrial messages via radio telescope has popularized and legitimized speculations about the impact of such a discovery on human values. It is conceivable that there is semi-intelligent life in some parts of our solar system, or highly intelligent life which is not technologically orientated, and many cosmologists and astronomers think it is very likely that there is intelligent life in many other solar systems. While face-to-face meetings with it will not occur within the next 20 years, they've already occurred, unless its technology is more advanced than ours. Yeah, which is qualifying it to visit Earth. Artifacts left at some point in time by these life forms might possibly be discovered through our space explorations of the Moon, Mars, or Venus. Face on Mars, anyone? If there is any contact to be made during the next 20 years, it would most likely be by radio, which would indicate that these beings have had at least equaled our own technological level. An individual's reaction to such a radio contact would in part depend on his cultural, religious, and social background, as well as on the actions of those he considered authorities and leaders and their behavior. In turn, would in part depend on their cultural, social, and religious environment. The discovery would certainly be front page news everywhere. The degree of political or social repercussion would probably depend on the leadership's interpretation of 1, its own role, 2, threats to that role, and 3, national and personal opportunities to take advantage of the disruption or reinforcement of the attitudes and values of others. Since leadership itself might have great need to gauge the direction and intensity of public attitudes to strengthen its own morale, and for decision-making purposes, it would be most advantageous to have more to go on than personal opinion about the opinions of public and other leadership groups. The knowledge that life existed in other parts of the universe might lead to a greater unity of men on Earth based on the oneness of man, or on the age-old assumption that any stranger is threatening. Much would depend on what, if anything, was communicated between man and other beings, since after the discovery there will be years of silence because even the closest stars are several light years away. An exchange of radio communications would take twice the number of light years, separating our sun from theirs. The fact that such beings existed might simply be one of the facts of life, but probably not one calling for action. Whether Earthmen would be inspired to all-out space efforts by such a discovery is a moot question. Anthropological files contain many examples of societies sure of their place in the universe, which have disintegrated when they have had to associate with previously unfamiliar societies espousing different ideas and different life ways. Others that survived such an experience usually did so by paying the price of changes in values, attitudes, and behavior. Since intelligent life might be discovered at any time via the radio telescope research presently underway, and since the consequences of such a discovery are presently unpredictable because of our limited knowledge of behavior, even under an approximation of dramatic circumstances, bugger off. 2 research areas can be recommended. Concluding studies to determine emotional, intellectual understanding and attitudes and successive alterations of them, if any, regarding the possibility and consequences of discovering intelligent and extraterrestrial life. Do you notice, by the way, how the language is becoming more obscure, and they're using longer words and longer sentences as if it's a sign that they're reluctant to say what they want to say and speak simply. Historical and empirical studies of the behavior of peoples and their leaders when confronted with dramatic and unfamiliar events or social pressures. Such studies might help to provide programs for meetings and adjusting to the implications of such a discovery. Questions one might wish to answer by such studies would include: how might such information, under what circumstances, be prevented or withheld from the public for what ends? What might be the role of the discovering scientists and other decision makers regarding release of the fact of the discovery? So, guys, that's kind of, it's almost an admission, isn't it? Stephen says, I thought you were going to do a paranormal live stream. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do an entire one on that, Stephen, because we discussed that anyway. We discussed that sort of thing anyway. Right. Rhiannon, Ben, can you do a discussion one night about Terry Lovelace? I would be really interested in what you and your viewers think. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of actually writing an article for UFO Truth about that, Rhiannon. I appreciate you bringing that up. I do. But as for Stephen, do you want to? If you want to bring up something paranormal, bring it up. But I'm not doing a dedicated live stream to a subject that I cover anyway, as a corollary of all the others. So, if you want to bring up a paranormal subject, go ahead. So that, in a sense, that document, which becomes very nebulous towards the end, is essentially, it's reluctantly suggesting that certain information should be held from the public. That's what it's saying, without actually being too explicit about it. And that document was written in 1960, right at the dawn of the space age. So this would explain, if people took that seriously. King L, what's that you're drinking? Looks like Ramona's tears. Oh, I suck that down every day. So yeah. So what do you guys think? What do you think about this? David, yeah, I mean, God has graciously provided more than enough energy for man to use. Free energy exists in terms of natural energy resources that won't run out. It's bureaucracy and distribution that can be the problem. Or not distribution, bureaucracy. I mean, it can be generated at source. It can be generated at source. What's Hugo Rune saying? Good one, love it. Vrillon, hello, Vrillon. How are you? I need to seriously think they know more than they're letting on. Oh, they do. They do, Vrillon. Yes, it's good to see you again. Well, they certainly do. I mean, and it's, I suppose, I think I would say about Steve. Steve is kind of hampered. Steve Bassett is hampered by the fact that he's unwilling to branch out from his particular field into other areas which may provide the clues to the truth embargo and how to end it. In his view, mixing it with other things is just kind of like going to make it, it's going to harm the advocacy process. He essentially said as much to me once when I was interviewing him. Diego Vera, could disclosure be the end for mankind? No, it won't. I mean, I think no disclosure would be the end for mankind. If it didn't happen, I say we would eventually stagnate. Would you try to get Shane Ryan on again? I could write to him again and ask him. I mean, he wouldn't come on last time. I mean, I did a 40th anniversary special for Westall. Was it 40th or 50th? Anyway, I did. Yeah, it was the 50th in 2016. And I wrote to him and he didn't reply. I wrote to Keith Basterfield and he said he wasn't interested. He didn't want to discuss the subject anymore. I could, but you know, if I've written to him once and he's ghosted me, I'm not going to keep writing. I mean, I did a good video. I think a very, very good program on that with Richard Wright. Spanish Chicken says, making things scarce again. I don't think that looked very good on a red baseball cap, would it? I think they have physical evidence. They do. They have decisive forensic evidence in the form of things like crash retrievals. What Alan Jones says. Someone is on the phone asking me for advice. I'm trying to have two conversations at the same time and failing miserably. Hey, Alan, don't worry about it. I'm pleased you're here. And, you know, I mean, obviously, like, you've got other things to do, and it's like, it's difficult. Focusing on two things at the same time is bloody difficult. It really is. All right. I think Alien Scientist is trying to get some traction. What's he up to these days? What's Alien Scientist up to these days? Let's have a look. As for, I mean, I'd love to. I've not. Funny thing is, I've heard the thing which DJ Clouds was talking about James Fox and Logan Paul. I did hear something about it. I can't find it now. So if anyone knows where it is, let me know. What's Misery Guts Jeremy got to say then? He's such a bloody backslapper, this guy. I do watch his stuff though. I don't think he's not. He hasn't. He's not actually done anything for 11 days. His last uploads, basically, I don't have to show you this. It's on his channel. His last live streams and uploads were the ones he did for the Senate hearing. 69 says sorry. Oh, 60. Oh, right. Oh, all right. Sorry, so that's a conversation between the two of you. Ben, if you could be one type of alien, which would it be? Well, obviously, it'd be the hot ginger one, which Antonio Villas-Boas met. No, I'm only kidding. I wouldn't want to have that kind of experience. It sounds it actually was pretty horrifying, I think. He was essentially raped by this creature. I mean, they gave him obviously they filled the room with gas, which confused his thoughts. But what the creature he actually encountered would be, I mean, if he was in his right mind, he wouldn't have. Obviously, there's no way he would have ever considered doing what he did. Hello, Snarnock. Greetings. How are you, Snarnock? Welcome. How are you? All right, so I think what alien would I want to meet? I want to meet one of the creatures that Mary Rodwell talks about, the ones that interact with the children. Maybe I'm too old to meet those, but I would like to. I think I would like to meet those creatures, the ones that are nice, the ones that are good guys, the lion men, people like that. Oh, thanks, David. David says I love the Westall program with Richard Wright. Cheers, David. I've got Richard on again tomorrow. I mean, it's actually an old interview. I'm going to replay the one that I played with him 10 years ago. Although this is going to be in high quality. So the first time this interview will be heard in high quality. So that's going to be on tomorrow night's show. So check that out. Elon Musk for me. Elon Musk is human, I think. It's the video that's 7:59. All right, thanks, DJ Clouds. I will have a look for it. Let's have a look. Okay. So I'll put in here Joe Rogan, James Fox, 7:58. Okay. Right, here it is. Oh, right, here we go. Yeah, is it the one called Joe Rogan accidentally makes the amazing argument for God? Is that the one? Oh, is that the one? Okay, I'll try that one. Here we go.
Here's an idea.
Wait for the ads to clear. So this is 7 minutes 58 seconds. Okay.
Ruslan. Joe Rogan accidentally makes a great argument for the resurrection. Will not do.
Is this it? DJ Clouds. Logan Paul has alien videos. Joe Rogan and James Fox. All right, I'll try and find that one, DJ. One sec. Don't we just post a link? DJ, could you post a link? Just simply post a link. I can't find it. I'm getting a bit tired, to be honest. Could you just post a link? What's this here? Sale Manchester vis-a-vis bed and the Porter. What's that? Right, okay. I can't find it. I can't find it, DJ. Logan Paul. All right, I'll just try once more. Logan Paul has alien UFO videos. Okay. Short, 543. None of them are 758. Let's have a look. There's one 753. No. I need you to post me a link, DJ. I need to put a link in there. I posted the link multiple times. Right. It's maybe going to the spam. I don't know why that is. Hang on. Oh dear. Sorry, DJ. It's not appearing in the chat. There's probably some spam filter stopping it, and I don't know why. Because normally I get to. Hang on a sec. I'll just. If anyone's got the spanner, could they? I don't know why. Because normally I get to. Hang on a sec. I'll just. If anyone's. All right, DJ. I'm going to keep trying. Type this. All right. I'm just going through the channel. I don't know what's wrong, DJ. I'm very sorry. No mods tonight. Okay. Oh, copy and paste this. All right. Hang on. Can I? Logan has alien UFO video. All right. I'll have to write it out word by word. Logan Paul has alien UFO video. One sec. Okay. Logan Paul has alien UFO video. I have to type it out. Joe Rogan and James Fox. And ampersand James Fox. Is it not the word and it is the ampersand? Okay. JRE 1976. Right. Is it this one? On Logan Paul's unreleased UFO video, Joe Rogan Experience. It must be this one. Well, it looks like I've already started watching it. That's interesting.
From Chuck Clark.
All right, all right. The thumbnail has a Logan wearing. Yes, I think I've got it. Here it is.
And I'm back at home in Northern California, and this is kind of a long way away. And he goes, James, I got something you need to see. I said, okay, well, what is it? I can't tell you, but your jaw's going to hit the floor when you see it. I was like, that good? He goes, oh, yeah, that good.
Is that it? It was posted 7 days ago. So, yep. Is this it? Have I got the right one? I think it fits your description. 69 Phuket. Nantucket slave ride. Oh, that refers to whale hunting, doesn't it? That's, yeah. Yes, thanks, DJ. Okay, here we go, guys. Thank you. We got there in the end, DJ. We got there in the end. I'm sorry you couldn't post a bloody... I don't know why you couldn't post a link. It's StreamYard. StreamYard is obviously different from the OBS.
I get a phone call from Chuck Clark, and I'm back at home in Northern California, and this is kind of a long way away. And he goes, James, I got something you need to see. I said, okay, well, what is it? I can't tell you, but your jaw's going to hit the floor when you see it. I was like, that good? He goes, oh yeah, that good. I said, I'm canceling all my plans, jumped in my car, and I drove straight through to Rachel, Nevada. I get to his house. This must have been, I'm going to guesstimate 95, 94, 95. Get to his house, and he's got a double wide right near the little alien. And he pops in this VHS tape.
I've watched
and
this.
It was like two guys on the quintessential road trip just to Area 50, the surrounding areas, Rachel and the extraterrestrial lonely highway, and they're goofing off the alien, taking videos of each other, just the typical road trip out to Area 51, right?
Blair Witch Project.
Totally. And then they're goofing off next to the photographs of the alien in the crash disc, and then they're inside the little alien, and I'm like, okay, where's this going? And all of a sudden, and I saw this with my own eyes, all of a sudden, the car's parked, and it's parked out by the black mailbox in the desert, and it's dusk. The camera is on the armrest between the two seats, and it's slightly cocked, like it's not level. And it's filming the dashboard and the screen, the windshield. And there's two guys in there sounding like, you can't see them, sounding like they're trying to crawl under the seats. I mean, they're freaking out.
Oh, God.
And then one of them goes, it's over the top of us. It's over the top of us. I'm like, damn, what is this video? Like, what am I, then all of a sudden the car lights up on the inside, but the source of light is above it. Like, if you can imagine, I've never seen anything like this. If you could put a pendulum with a light source above a vehicle, like above the car, like this, but very slow and fluid motion, like rocking back and forth, the shadows and the lights on the inside of the car are doing this really eerily. You've never seen anything like it. I'm looking like, my God, what is going on? And they're very scared. And one kid, who's the younger of the two, is like, I'm getting out. I'm getting out of the car. Stay in the car. It's over the top. Stay in the fucking car. He goes, no, I'm getting out. And he gets out and he videotapes a disc that was so low you could have hit it with a rock. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, that's what all the witnesses have tried to describe. That's like, if you could imagine the skin on the craft glowing like phosphorus on a beach, that's what it looked like. Like the skin was alive, and it had like a yellowy orange color to it, but you could clearly see it was a disc. I mean, it was not an orb, it was a disc, but the metal lit up like it was alive. I'd never seen anything like it. And it just wobbled like it was unstable, like doing this. And the camera guy goes, oh my God. And then something about the batteries, and then boom, it shuts off. I looked over at Chuck Clark. I said, this is the video everyone's been waiting for. Unbelievable.
How do you know this is real? Because
are we going to see it at some point? I mean, I realize now I must have watched this and forgotten about it because I've clicked like, and I've got like a watched bar. Yeah.
If it's not real,
Pause it for a minute and go back to the chat. What do you guys think? What do you want to? I don't want to, because I don't want these comments to get ahead of me. Yeah, he is. Yes, definitely. He's very interesting. And Weekend World, coolest rift. Okay. Has to have seen the white. Oh, right. Yeah, of course. It's from Moby Dick, the Nantucket sleigh ride where they're getting dragged along by the whale. Yeah. This is what I'm wondering, David. Will that video ever get released? Well, I hope so. It is. DJ, I'm fascinated by this. It's enthralling. Because I remember he talked about this before, you see. He talked about it. Keep watching. It's better. I will do, mate. I will do. Yeah. If you want to get ahead, get ahead. And it sounds too perfect to be real to me. Well, this is... Well, Rhiannon, it doesn't matter. I'll carry on playing the video in a minute. If this gets released, it doesn't matter how good the quality is. Somebody's going to say it's not real. I mean, and unfortunately, in this day and age, they might be right. That's the problem. He says Logan has the footage. If you watch the rest, he only He's the only one with it besides the guy he stole it from. Yeah, this all harkens back to. So I'm going to carry on watching it in a minute. I'm going to carry on watching it in a minute, but this all harkens back to something that Fox said before. He said Fox said before that he talked about a videotape that he'd seen in a camper van, and the videotape went missing, something like that. Yeah. Very long. I hope it's not third phase of the moon. I don't think it is. I think well, their stuff is, some of their stuff's all right, but they just tend to publish anyone comes along. Hello, Mr. Grey Owl. How do you do? The Grey Owl has landed, larger than life, twice as ugly. Yes. Don't forget James Fox has actually seen the bloody thing. Yeah. No, it's not on third phase. I mean, we know if it was on third phase, because it would already come out, wouldn't it? Let's carry on. Okay, let's just carry on. Here we go.
BS meters are going off right now.
Dude, fair enough. I get it. Fair enough. I saw this video with my own eyes.
Of course. It's a video, though.
Yeah, it's a video, for sure. No question about it.
No, they make fake videos.
Absolutely. It was 1995, and they could have. But why wouldn't...
1995 is harder.
Yeah.
Older stuff, older footage, really. Older videos, older photographs, really, are the only ones I'm interested in now, to be honest.
But why? It's never been released to the public. Why would you create a fake video?
What year did you see it?
I saw it like 95.
And so it's out there somewhere.
No, it's not. It's in Chuck Clark's.
He saw it all those years ago. He saw it, nearly 30 years ago? Well, let's go back a little bit. Because that must be what you talked about.
And so it's out there somewhere.
No, it's not. It's in Chuck Clark's. Got a copy of it. The story continues.
No, but I mean, someone has it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, in fact, if those two boys that shot it are out there, please come forward. Like, please.
How come no one's acquired this?
So I said to Chuck, "Oh my God, this is great. I can use this in my movie, right? Great." He goes, "Oh no, they're terrified." I said, "Well, look, just put me in touch with the guys. You don't have to give."
But wait a minute, they're terrified, but they give it to a guy who lives in a trailer.
I'm just telling you.
You know what I'm saying?
Camper van. That's right.
Absolutely.
Hey, I'm really terrified. I don't want this getting out, but I'm going to give it to you.
I get it.
Guy who lives in a trailer.
I get it.
What does this guy do for a living?
He was a former military guy, and he's retired. But
just a retired military guy
for a
on
minute
the trailer.
here.
This guy's a Fed. So that he doesn't even live there.
But no,
he probably put on some.
Yeah, Joe's teasing him now.
Okay, so the story gets better. The story
is
gets
his
better.
name Ray Epps?
I know, Joe. Believe me, I get it. But the story gets better.
Okay,
Sit tight.
Okay.
Because I went on a couple of podcasts and I said, screw it. I don't care anymore. I saw this video. I'm going to start talking about it. Chuck Clark said, if you ask me again after 10 years or 12 years, I'm never talking to you again. So I was like, I of course asked him again. I said, I'll give you 30 grand for the video. And he's not talking to me. So I went on Concrete Podcast, and I went on this guy, Julian Dorian's podcast, and I went on a bunch of other podcasts, and I gave the whole story. Let's let somebody else pick up the ball and run with it. I'm just telling you what I saw. Okay. I get contacted a couple of years ago by a guy who goes, I saw that video too. Then another guy contacts me and he goes, I'm a private investigator and I find people. I said, well, his name's Chuck Clark. Go to it. So he finds him. Right at that time, I'm going on the Impulsive podcast with Logan Paul. And I tell Logan Paul the story, and he has exactly the same response you have. And I don't blame you. Okay. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I'm just telling you what I saw. It was very impressive what I saw. Very impressive. If it was a fake, my God, that was well done. He should be making movies with Spielberg. So anyway.
What is this channel's name? Who has this again?
Chuck Clark.
Chuck, what are you doing, Chuck?
Well, let me finish. So Logan Paul, he's like, I want to go to this guy's house. I said, hey, I got the guy. He's got the information. Logan's like, this is all behind the scenes. So Logan Paul takes, I put him in touch with this guy, and this guy lives in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it was like Logan Paul takes a Mercedes with a bunch of guys and $100,000 in cash, a big brick. And he goes out to this guy's house in the middle of the desert. And Logan calls me in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, you sure your contact's legit, dude? My phone doesn't work. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I got $100K cash in my pocket and I can't find this guy. I said, no, I'm sure he's good, And so Logan goes in there and meets Chuck Clark. And Chuck Clark's like, yeah, I got the tape right here. And so he says, I'll give you $100,000 for it. And the guy says, no way. And so Logan Paul is going to reveal this for the first time. Logan Paul has got a button camera.
Oh no! Oh
on
my
his
God!
on his dress, on his clothes. So Logan Paul's like, all right, well, this guy doesn't want to, he's going to die with it. So let's get this thing on camera. So Logan's like, well, let me see it at least. So Logan looks at it with this thing and, oh, could you show it to me again? Gets another angle, and then he leaves. So Logan's like, I don't know if I want to go public.
Right. So, my God. So does that mean? So Logan Paul has a copy of it. Oh, it's a screen over. It's going to be very poor quality. We need to see the original, ideally. But, I mean, obviously, if you have like a button camera and you're filming something off a screen, it's not going to look very good. My God! But if he tracked down the person that had it, my God, this guy Chuck Clark. Has anyone else gone after it? I mean, if someone's going to try and nick it, that's the problem. All right. Hello, Trevor. Brother Porter, pride and dignity, Brother Porter. How are you? My brother Porter, Trevor, is here. Is there any more comments here? Stephen Truthseeker is gone. Oh dear. Why is that, Stephen? Come on, I wasn't too hard on you. I just said say something paranormal. Bumbelina, how'd you do? Oh, hang on. Snarnock, see comment above. Hang on a second. We go. There's a lot of comments here. I think Stephen Truthseeker is gone. Right. What's this? He mentioned in a different interview the video was lost or stolen. He did, yes. That's what's strange. He mentions the video got lost or stolen. Yeah. It's strange, isn't it? James Fox has actually seen the bloody thing. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Diana says the description of two men messing about by the alien stuff in Roswell is setting the scene. It sounds like a psychological prop. And why was the camera propped up on the armrest? Yeah, it was propped up on the it was propped up on the armrest of the car, running while they were trying to hide underneath the. That is a bit dodgy, isn't it? Yeah, it does. It is a bit dodgy. Blair Witch Project style, yeah. Leon says, if you remember the story in Tony Dodd's book about a man who was taking a trip in the Brecon Beacons and was taken by a military guy, I reckon bored squaddies with a sense of humour winding him up. It's possible. It's possible. I don't know. It's hard to say. Just going to scroll down here. Hello, Tolkien Study. How do you do? Welcome. Yeah, that's quite amazing. Tony Dodd's book. Yeah, and there's a connection to the alien interview. We've discussed that before. Yeah. Logan Paul has a low quality clandestine video version of it. Would it be nice to see that, wouldn't it? Cat Squatch returns. Hello, Cat Squatch. How do you do? Welcome. Okay, mustn't lose track of these comments. Putting an ad up in a small village full of bored squaddies asking for an alien experience is kind of asking for it. That's yes, that was Gareth. That was the guy. The guy who just died, isn't it? Yeah. Gareth, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he's the guy who. However, I think there's more to it than that. I think there is more to it than that. I think you're talking the black mailbox, yeah. Oh, bless you. Mr. Grayle says, if a Tic Tac lands and a bunch of smoking hot alien babes disembark, and they each have 3 rat-tats And like the chick on Mars Colony from Total Recall, oh, I see. Yes, I know what you mean there. Yeah, no one changes their minds about shit. I don't know. I've got a feeling Stephen Truthseeker has rage quit again. Let's have a look. If he's left me a message, I'll ask him. Did I say something wrong to Stephen Truthseeker? Oh wait, I don't see. I'm not screen sharing, am I? I just say you haven't rage quit again, have you? I'm just leaving him a message. I think he wants me to do a paranormal live stream. You haven't rage quit again, have you? I said, raise a paranormal issue if you want. There we go. Raise a paranormal issue if you... I've misspelled issue, but you know what I mean. Stephen, if you want to raise a paranormal issue, raise a paranormal issue. But, I didn't say anything wrong to you. Come on, come back. If you want me to do a paranormal podcast or paranormal live stream, but then that's every live stream I do up to a point. It's such a general subject that if I say I'm doing a paranormal live stream, that's just everything, isn't it? And it's better just if I just do whatever. Hello, hello, Lyswell. I've just come back in. How's it been? Oh, not bad, thanks, mate. Not bad. I'm just trying to. I got a feeling Stephen Truthseeker has rage quit again because of something I said, and I'm trying to sort it out because I think he's oversensitive. I'm just going to explain now in my defence. I've just actually inboxed him on Facebook so he can sort that out at his leisure. But he's been saying for a couple of weeks now that he'd like to see me do a live stream, and he just describes it as a paranormal live stream. Well, that's kind of that's most of the ones I do, isn't it? So I thought about it. First I said yes, but then I thought that's overgeneralized, isn't it? So what I'd say to Stephen himself, if he's still watching, he may well be still watching. Why don't you just raise any kind of paranormal subject you want on the live stream I'm doing now? Why not just do that? Because I do say on every notice I say I have like a theme, and then I say unrelated issues. And that's all I said to him. I'm not going to walk around you on tiptoe, Stephen, all right? You know me, right? And you've met me, you've known me many years, and you know I'm not a malicious, harmful person. Okay? Della says maybe he's just having a bad day and he'll be back. I hope so, yeah. I hope he will. Is Steve a bunko, or does he believe in aliens? Do you mean Steve Bassett? I don't know. I don't know. He might do, yeah. Let's just see. I don't want to miss too many. I'm not sure I'll cover every single comment. That might be it, yeah. He normally says goodbye, though, but when he just disappears, it's usually because he's rage quit over something I've said, or the way I said it, or something like that. And I can't be doing with that. I can't be doing with that. He knows I mean no harm. I mean, I don't mean him any harm. I just said, look, if you want to bring up a paranormal subject, bring one up. 69. Peace or else. 69 food get. No, that's it, definitely. All right. DJ Cloud says, DJ Cloud says, I think it's the first time you've been in the chat, but you brought up some really good subjects. Do you think the people from Gaia TV are telling the truth about aliens? Have you heard of the show Cosmic Disclosure? I don't actually sub to them, DJ. I mean, I would like to. See, I don't have any paywall. I'm not on the other side of any paywall, because there's so many things I'd like to be subscribed to get extra content. I'd like to be subscribed to Stefan Molyneux, Gaia TV, Podcast of the Lotus Eaters, and all these others. I'd love to be subscribed to all of those, but then I'd end up with no money left for anything else. And so I can only subscribe to some things. Well, which ones do I subscribe to? I mean, I don't have a subscription to Sky or anything like that. No terrestrial crap. Because if I did, I'd rather subscribe to Gaia TV than anything like that. I really would. And I don't subscribe to Gaia. At least Greer speaks about the unelected deep state, unlike Steve Bassett, said Starnock. Yes, I mean, I'm not a bot, says DJ. I believe you. You don't talk like a bot, DJ. You look like that guy from Star Trek. Is that the guy from Star Trek, the one with the Georgie LaForge? That's not him, is it? Is that what is that you, or is that Georgie LaForge? Geordie LaForge, yeah. Of TNG, not the original series. He has this thing over his eyes, doesn't he? This like his visor, yeah. No, what was I going to say? Yeah. I've lost my train of thought. I'm getting tired. Snorlock, have I seen the recent Greer interview? No, I've seen a couple of them. I've seen a couple over the last few years. Geordie LaForge, yeah. The YA man, the Geordie. He's American, isn't he? Yeah, Steve in the deep state. You see, like this is where Greer does have more of an understanding than Bassett. Although apart from that, I much prefer Steve Bassett to Greer. I really do. I much prefer him. I think I'm getting tired now. Let's just see if Stephen's replied. I don't want to. Oh, no, he hasn't seen the message. I think he's gone. I think it's something I said and he's gone. Well, that's just too bad. Leon said, when I was 14, I had a massive crush on Georgie off Star Trek. I think it was the visor and social awkwardness that did it. Oh, yeah. He's got I suppose it's like some women like that. They like a guy who's a bit soft around the edges, I mean, they don't all go for like the alpha of Chads. Because if they weren't, I'd be single my whole life, wouldn't I? Now, there's interesting stuff about like I've forgotten what I was actually talking about, but I'm getting tired. That's the thing. I'm gonna have to go to bed soon. I've been going more than 2 hours. But the tape. I mean, I'd love to see this tape. And of course, if you just show the button camera footage, even if you show the original tape, if somehow this guy Chuck, if somehow this guy Chuck would turn over the original tape, which I wish he would, there's some skeptics are just going to say it's fake. They're just going to say it's fake, it's rubbish, it's fake. The button camera, it's basically a screen over from a hidden camera. It's going to be hardly worth watching. I am a bit weird though, Ben. You are, Rhiannon, yes, but that's quite. I don't mind. Who wants to be normal in this world? What's this? Oh, yeah, Snarlock, he's having another press club hearing. He's going to use this launch. He's got this new movie coming called. It is called The Lost Century, and the premiere of that is going to be on this. The premiere of that video is going to be on this. It's going to be at this hearing, and I don't know exactly. It's not going to be like Bassett's hearing. No, that can't be reproduced by some cheap damn like media player like Greer. It's Steve mumbling. Oh my God! Pray silence, please. We have none other than the great Steve mumbling in chat. Is this Paradigm? Is the Paradigm Research Group one old geezer in a basement bed set? Right now, don't take the mickey out of the thing. Is like Steve mumbling. Listen, if he was earning a lot of money and living in some mansion, everyone would be having a go at him for it. The fact is, Steve was homeless for a couple of years, sleeping in the back of his car in Washington, parked in Washington D.C. when he first started lobbying. and people have a go at him. They say he's the one guy sitting in a bed sit. Now you see, you can't win if we're really poor and we're living in a bed sit. That's bad. If we're not poor, we're living in a mansion. That's bad. Well, Steve, what if you're going to use that argument to criticize us? What in your view would be good then? Because it sounds like this is an unfalsifiable hypothesis. Right. DJ says, have you heard the story Stephen Greer told about a guy who astral projected and smacked it into a UFO? He's probably told it at some point. I can't remember. I mean, I watched like a 2-hour thing he did last month. Now, Steve has caused a bit of a sheer store here. The arch pseudo-skeptic still trundling along in willful ignorance. Well done for the perseverance. Yay. I did. All right, I'll answer your question. The answer, Steve, is no. It's not just some guy living alone in some basement. It's not. Yeah, it's not, Steve. It is. Steve Bassett is the executive director, but he has a lot of people helping him out. He has the Exopolitics World Network. He's not homeless now. He's actually hired an office at the National Press Club building where the citizen hearing took place. He has an office in there. He's working on this thing called Disclosure Wire, which is like a media channel. All right. So, Balloons says here, Steve could have been saving his money. That's admirable. There's so much. I mean, this whole idea that this is some kind of money-making scam is insulting nonsense. I mean, Steve could have been a tennis pro. That's how that's what he was doing. He was teaching tennis and things like that. It's how could anyone say that about Steve? It's so unfair. Hey guys, does anyone want to add anything? I'm getting tired now, and we've been going for 2 hours 20 minutes. Does anyone want to add anything more? Because if not, I'm going to end the stream. So who else wants to say something? Steve Mumbling says, "Why do so many ne'er-do-wells immerse themselves in this UFO rubbish?" Well, how many immerse themselves in the skeptic movement? You know, some of them have been to jail. I mean, I won't name him, but there's a very prominent skeptic who's only just come out of jail. I think he was jailed for fraud. I like Dr. Greer. I just wish he'd show some more proof. I'm not totally against him, DJ. I think he's got an ego problem. I think to put it bluntly, he's too far up his own arse, and he needs to get out of it. He needs to get over himself. Because right now, a lot of his stuff is simply about serving his own person. Balloon says, "Night, sweet dreams." Socialist Chilwacott. I don't know what that. Night, Balloons. You'll soon find out which side of history you fall. Steve Mumbling's he's going to be caught out because he's on the wrong side of the fence. So when the tide shifts, he's not doing what Professor Simon Holland is doing, trying to rewrite his own history and shuffle up the starting grid. So you are in for a bit of a shock, Steve Mumbling. You are. You're going to be in for a bit of a shock. Unlike most of you, I have a job to get to. Bye, Steve. But we have jobs too. I have a job. Was Steve Bassett a pilot during the Vietnam War? Says Snarnock. No. I don't. He's not that old. Man on the moon playing golf. Oh, that's a. What's this? Catch you later. See you, Mr. Grey Owl. Thanks for posting. Yeah, I know. Phuket. Steve is always doing this. He's if you watch our Apollo detectors with him, I mean, his conduct is disgraceful. I was against having him on. The others wanted him on, so we had him on. And I think he made a fool of himself more than anything else. I think I've had an inbox from Stephen. No, I haven't. No, Stephen still. He's not even looking at his inbox. Yep, I have certainly. I've done it. I've done my usual with Stephen. Well, Stephen Truthseeker, if you're watching, look, I mean you no harm. You know that. Check out the movie Shark Side of the Moon. Oh, God. Della says, night, Della. See ya. Thanks for watching. Rhiannon says, I do like Ben Steve mumbling voice. And I, for one, have a job to try harder, Stephen of the Mumbles. Rhiannon's job, I won't tell you what it is, because she'd probably lose it. but it's one I would never do. I couldn't do her job. I couldn't. It sounds like an absolute nightmare. Colin was a bit skeptic. Colin Wolford. No, I don't have a problem with skeptics at all. Night, body technician. Thanks for watching. Night. Night, everyone. Night, Stephen Truthseeker, who's going to watch this eventually. Do come back, please, because you really shouldn't just react like this. So you shouldn't just so overreact at little things people say, because we don't mean you any harm. We really don't. I'm a drain cleaner. That's one way of putting it, Alan. Yeah. Movie rewatch recommendation: Coneheads. All right, I've never. It's not for me. It's not a rewatch. I've never seen that before. Is it good? All right, guys. Well, look. Thank you very much for everything. I'll download this and put it onto Alt Tech as soon as I can. Nighty, Rhiannon. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining. Appreciate that. Night, Vrillon. Good to catch up with you too, mate. Have a great. Thanks, DJ3 Cloud. I've subscribed, so he says. Thank you very much. Good night, and take your visor off before bed. But thanks very much for, and thanks for the information. You know, DJ Clouds has contributed a lot tonight. Yes. Phuket says I swept stairs at the ANA Army camp. Right, you are. Not anymore. I hope. I hope you have an easier job now. All right, then, guys. You take it easy, guys. Respect to you, Rhiannon, and to Phuket. When the UAP cat is out of the bag in Congress and the military officially, it's quite comedic that pseudo-skeptics like Mumbles still doggedly dig their heels in and, of course, betrays them. David, yeah, I don't think. I mean, I think you've read. I don't know if you've read Roswell Rising. The scenario I envisage in the book, I don't think will happen. It's just I kind of put that in for a joke. Night, King L. I'm sure that Steve will be perfectly safe. He'll probably just retire. He'll probably just go off and retire somewhere. Night, King L. Thanks very much. All right, guys, that's it. It's like the Walters, isn't it? Good night, Mama. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Grandpa. Can we go to bed now? And the program's got to end. Switch the light out up there, will you? Okay. Night, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for watching.